Hello and welcome back to Exothermic Plays Games. Today I am ranking all 151 original Pokemon from my least favorite to my favorite. This is a companion video for my ranking for Pokemon Red and Blue in the project I have been doing all year long, where I am ranking my 366 favorite games of all time. 366 because leap year, and So Pokemon Red and Blue is on November 7th, and that's today. And so I'm doing this, order from worst to favorite, as I have done with the other Pokemon mainline games I have ranked. The structure of this one's a little bit different. I have a slideshow, and I'm just going to kind of go through the slideshow and talk about them in the order that they are. I already did the ranking. It's all ready and prepared. So, without further ado, let's dig into it. The worst one is Jynx. It's not close. Jynx is the worst Pokemon ever made out of any generation. All of them combined. Jynx, oh my god, Jynx sucks. Jynx looks way too human. I don't like when Pokemon are overly human. Obviously, not exactly human. There's a bit more going on there. But also, if you look at the original design for Jynx, it's even worse. Continuing a historical problem with animation in Japan. There's a whole lot of problems with Jynx. The world would be better if Jynx was not made. Next is Mr. Mime, and apparently I forgot to put his little name and number thing. Oops. Number 150 in my countdown is Mr. Mime. Again, I don't like when they're especially human. Now, they can be humanoid, but Mr. Mime is too close to being human. I mean, literally, he lives with Ash's mom in the show, doing chores and wears an apron, and I really don't like that. And the haircut or whatever, I don't know if it's actually hair, but whatever that is, does not do Mr. Mime any favors. And then like the weird bulbous like joints, god, I really don't like that. Oh, that's why. There we go. All right. Number 149 is Cloyster. This is another problematic design. If you know what I'm talking about, you probably agree that it's not good. If you don't worry about it. Kakuna. Here we go. We've moved on from the ones that I think are actively problematic and not good to ones I just don't like. So Kakuna, number 148. I generally don't like bugs. In real life, I do not like bugs. They make me uncomfortable and nervous, and I hate I have a fear basically of them entering my body. Hate bugs. So Kakuna has a few things against it. 1, it's a bug. 2, it looks like a bug. 3, it's kind of just worse Metapod. Metapod I rank higher. And I think overall, Kakuna is just very boring and not interesting and just worse Metapod, and it should have just not existed. Number 147, Venomoth, another bug type. Who would have thought? Moths, they can look pretty from afar. The moment you start looking up close at a moth, it gets a little creepy and spidery to me almost. I don't like moths, and this is a very large moth that you can't even hide how they're creepy. Number 146, Kabuto. I don't really hate Kabuto or anything. It's just does nothing for me. I mean, it's a bottom feeder shell Pokemon that is devoid of anything interesting. Number 145, Goldeen. This is pretty much just a fish with some weird buggy eyes, and the lips I don't like. If they had just had normal lips, like of a fish, I would probably like Goldeen more. I like the big flowy tail and the fins and stuff, but oh my god, no. Sea King, a little better. Basically still just a fish. I like the spots on the Sea King a bit more. Like if we look back here, no spots. The spots are an improvement, and part of this is just the art on whoever did the art for these. A lot of the pictures are taken from the trading card game here. Yeah, this art style is better, but still the lips are a little weird. Weedle. This is a bug Pokemon. Obviously, it evolves into Kakuna, which I did not like. It's at least a little cute. I wish, like its segmented body. If I touched a Weedle, I think I would die. Yeah, that's the impression I get. Venonat. Pretty much, I actually like Venonat's face. I like its mouth. I don't like the eyes. I do like its little antennas. I like the idea of Venonat. If you give me like this Venonat in this picture, that's fine. But canonically, Venonat is like fuzzy. And if there was, I'm trying to think how big Venonat is. Realistically, probably about the size of, I don't know, a basketball maybe. So if you made a basketball alive and a bug and fuzzy, that would be nightmare fuel for me in real life. So I'm gonna pass. Electrode. I actually like Electrode, except it is the laziest design in this whole game, and actually maybe even the whole franchise. They just took Voltorb and flipped it upside down and said it evolved. That's it. I like its cheeky smile. This probably is dumb, but I think I like Electrode more than I like Voltorb, except for how lazy the design is. And I'll talk more about Voltorb when I get there. Krabby is just a crab. Generally, when a Pokemon is just an actual animal, I care less. This is just a crab. There you go. Spearow, just a bird. I mean, just a bird. It's kind of a sparrow, but bigger. I guess it is a little bit bigger than a real bird would be of the thing it's kind of replicating. So it does have that going for it, but it's a bird. Seal is just a seal, like with a little horn. This is a real animal that they just tacked a little horn on and called it the same name with a different spelling. That being said, it's adorable. I love its big tongue. So I do like Seal more than some of the other just an animal Pokemon, because like it's just cute. Seals are cooler than regular birds, so therefore the Pokemon Seal is cooler than Spearow. Wigglytuff. This is another circumstance of me still actually liking the Pokemon, but ranking it probably a bit worse, being a little harsher on it, because I think it's a boring way of doing the evolution. They just took a Jigglypuff and made it taller and angry. I like the angry, but again, there's not enough difference here to make it interesting. Pidgey, talk about being just a bird. But that being said, I think that the Pidgey evolution line is more important, like I'm not gonna say lore, but like in the show, and just to me, Pidgey is like a hero bird. I don't know. I can't explain it. I like Pidgey a little more than Spearow, and that has a lot to do with how I feel about evolutions too. But I like Pidgey. It's iconic, but it is also just a bird. Paris. Okay, so Paris is very interesting. I love the little mushrooms. I don't like the body they're attached to. If the mouth was not that and was maybe just cute, I don't know, not that, then I would probably like Paris a lot more. But mostly I'm here because I think the mushrooms are neat. Sandslash. Again, this is not that interesting of an evolution from its basic form. And ultimately, I just don't care. It digs through the ground. Yeah. It does that. That's it. Amistar. So this is definitely, so in Japan, right, Pokemon is called Pocket Monsters, or at least early on it was. And this is a monster for sure. The tentacles, I'm gonna call that a mouth, the spikes, it's a monster. That being said, I just have no attachment to it at all. I like Pokemon to actually be at least a little cute, and I don't think this guy could ever be cute. It is an interesting and unique design, I'll give them that, so it's better than the stuff that's boring, but I don't like it. Ekans. This is a snake. This is maybe the best Pokemon that is just an animal. It is a snake, and all its being is a snake. Its name is Snake. You would think that given how much I don't like when they're just an animal that I wouldn't like Ekans, but I love its like gummy smile, and actually snakes are pretty cool, and it's just really cute. Like, look how its mouth is open in this art, and it's just and yeah. Plus, anything affiliated with Team Rocket's gonna get an automatic bump. Poliwag. So I like the swirl belly thing. I like the tail. I like the stupid mouth. I like the big eyes. It's round. Round is good. Poliwag is pretty solid. Kingler. So this is also still just a crab, like a king crab, except what you're not getting in this art is the scale of Kingler. Kingler is the biggest crab you're ever gonna see in your life. It's like, it is just a crab, but if you stand next to a Kingler, you're like, wow, that's a crab. And so because it's just big and dumb, it's still dumb, but it's just big now, it gets a little bit of a bump for that. Spearow. Okay, Spearow went from being just a real bird to being, hey, this is a fantasy bird. I actually don't care about Spearow as far as like putting it on teams or anything it really does in the world, but the design is better, and I like the comically long neck it has with the beak. I hate bugs. I didn't like Weedle. I didn't like Kakuna. Beedrill is kinda cool. Wasps in general and bees make me really uncomfortable. I don't like them at all. I have a bee suit, mostly to like, we had a wasp infestation and a crack in the wall in our garage, and I had to like spray that out, so I got a suit because I was just too nervous to do it without like a full layer of protection on my whole entire body. I don't like bugs. But Beedrill's kind of neat because of those like lances it has on its front arms. I think those are cool, and if they had leaned more into that, like, it'd be interesting in Generation 10 if we get like a further evolution of Beedrill, or if there's a gimmick, right? Like a gimmick like Dynamaxing or like Mega Evolution. Mega Beedrill should have turned into a full knight in shining armor where it's got a giant lance. That's what it should have been. Missed opportunity. Rhydon. So you'll see that in process of elimination, you know this already. I like Rhyhorn more than Rhydon. Mostly, I think he should have stayed on 4 legs. I don't like that he stood up. That's kind of it. I thought it got worse by evolving. Although the big horn is neat. and being one of the only things that can learn a one-shot KO attack in Generation 1 is cool. Alright, Nidoran male. And also, this is 126, 125 is Nidoran female. They're kind of a pair here. They're pretty much the same ranking. The big difference is that I like the color on the female Nidoran a little more. That's really it. That's the only factor in this. Abra. Abra is cute. Abra grows up to be doing cool things. Abra is annoying. I would like Abra so much more if it didn't feel impossible to catch. Running into an Abra is very frustrating, and they could have made that suck less, but they didn't. So Abra actually tanks a bit relative to the rest of its evolution line. Caterpie. So this is the good Weedle, if you will. It's cute. I like, actually, it's like, I love its little eyes, the like nose bump, whatever you want to call that, mouth nose thing that's just like a knob on its face is very cute. I kind of like that the feet are also just like little knobs. There's a lot of things about this that, yes, it's a bug Pokemon, but it does look fantasy as opposed to just being a creepy crawly bug. So Caterpie, not bad. Pidgeotto. Now Pidgey has grown up to be a bigger bird, and that's kind of that's kind of it. It does have the like slick back hair, which is fun, but it's really just, now we're a big bird, and again, we're leaning more into the fantasy. I do want to be clear here. You know, I'm at 122 out of 151. This is still poorly ranked, but overall, I really do love Generation 1. All of the Pokemon, for the most part, obviously not like Jynx and Mr. Mime, are pretty good. So to say that this is in the bottom third isn't to say that it's bad. I like Pidgeotto. I just like so much of Generation 1 that it's down here. And that's going to apply to a lot of things. So Horsey, it's a seahorse, and it's named Horsey, and that's the name alone is pretty stellar. I do like the I mean, it's kind of just a seahorse design, but big, at least relative to seahorses. And I like the more cartoonish caricature aspects to it, the perfectly round head, the elongated mouth snout. I apologize, I am not intimately familiar with the anatomy of seahorses. Horsey's good. Machoke. So this is the middle evolution line for Machop, and there's the reason that this is ranked worse than Machop and Machamp is kind of coming back to that. I don't really like when they're a little too human. It does have like a long face. It's a monster. You can clearly see that. But other than that, it's just kind of a big buff dude, but without the features that make the others a little more cartoonish and fantasy monsters. Geodude, I love that this guy has no legs and he just walks around with his arms. He's just a little rock face with crazy strong arms and hands. That's really fun for Geodude. Execute. So I have some mixed feelings about Execute. On the one hand, I think they're really cool. On the other hand, the idea that this is it always 6? I think it's always 6. This is 6 eggs that don't have limbs. They all have their own faces. They are separate entities, but it is a singular Pokemon that all evolves as one Pokemon, and you find them together as one Pokemon. And that is, I can't place it. It's a little off-putting, but I'm not sure why. That being said, Execute is actually pretty fun, so it didn't get hurt that bad from that. Parasect. So we took Paris and made the mushroom big, and that's kind of it. Now it's a really big mushroom, so it's better. Nidorino, so evolution of male Nidoran, excuse me. We kind of just exaggerate a lot of the monster-like features from Nidoran itself. We keep the color palette. We accentuate the things that made it slightly different from Nidoran female. The armor plating, I mean, I guess they both have the armor plating, but like it's more angular. The edges are not quite so soft, so it's a little different. I like it. It's an improvement over Nidoran. Nidoran I don't think is that cute, for example. I think it looks like it's wanting to be a monster, but it's also just not very good at it, but it's also not cute. So Nidorino starts to lean more into that monster side of things. Graveler. So this is the evolved form of Geodude. Now we still don't really, if I remember right, I don't think this guy has legs. If he does, they're very stumpy. But now there's way bigger arms, bigger body. There's more arms. It's actually looking like a thing that you could fight with, as opposed to whatever Geodude's doing. I like Graveler. It's cool. Oh, self-destruct is also fun, and it starts doing a whole lot of that if you want to. Machop. So this is very clearly monster. I mean, you look at the tail, it's definitely got a lot more going on with the tail. The proportions as far as body size are way more cartoonish compared to Machoke. It's fun that it's like this little tiny kid-like thing that could probably lift my car. So I really like Machop for that idea, but you know, Machamp is way cooler. We'll get there. Nidorina, slightly better than Nidorino. I like the color palette more still, and I do like kind of the more rounded, just ears and face and things compared to the more angular stuff of Nidorino. I think that Nidorino is like, it almost looks like, how do I put this? Nidorino is PlayStation 1 graphics, and Nidorina got to do some 3D rendering with some smoothing out, if that makes sense. Coughing. I like that it is a smog Pokemon, that it's basically its whole thing is about pollution, and like there's a lot of social critique that you can do with coughing. The name fits that really well. I like the little like toxic symbol on its, I don't know if I call that a chest, a belly, whatever. No arms. I love that it doesn't have any appendages. It just floats. It's fun, despite, you know, like smoke. So Tangela. Tangela is funny. I like Tangela here just because Tangela's funny. I don't actually like Tangela. Tangela is unnerving to me in a lot of ways. Like, if I saw Venonat in real life, I'd be terrified. If I saw Tangela in real life, it'd be even scarier. It'd be one of the scariest things I've ever seen in my whole life. I'll never see anything scarier, realistically. But from the perspective of a fictional monster character, it's very funny. All of the vines and stuff are funny, and the idea that like it doesn't really have a face in there, like it does but it doesn't, is funny to me. And like it has like little shoes. I'm gonna call those shoes. So Tangela's funny. Metapod. So also, again, more TCG art. I love when they do the mixed medium stuff. So there's like this is actually a crocheted Metapod with felt on it on other things, and then they posed it for a picture and then they put that on the card. It's not drawn this way. This is physically made. I love when they do that in the trading card games. Anyways, so Metapod is kind of just way outrageously better Kakuna. For starters, it has a nose. It has a real face going on, and also Metapod always looks just like it doesn't want to be there. It looks annoyed. Like Metapod is like the Squidward of Pokemon. You know, even though there's squid Pokemon, Metapod is Squidward. Persian, big cat. I like cats. This one's a cat. It's a big cat. That's all it's doing. Persian would actually be ranked lower because, again, even though I do like cats, this just is a cat. Not even anything Pokemon about it, I guess, other than like the gem on its forehead. But being Giovanni's like lap cat does give Persian a little bit of a boost over the other just an animal Pokemon. So Cloyster is an abomination and a design mistake. Shelder is adorable, and I love how enormous its tongue is compared to its body, and they're just cute and dumb and cute. Rattata. So this is just a little mouse guy with comically large teeth, and I like the purple. I like the face. I like the tail. It's a cute little guy, and Rattata to me is an iconic Pokemon. In the idea that like when you play a new game of Pokemon Red and Blue, what do you run into a whole lot? You run into Pidgey. You run into Rattata. That's what you find. Obviously, there's also Weedle and Caterpie, but Rattata to me is like, of those, the only one that feels like it has character and is really something that I can see the world being built around. I could see a world where they made Rattata and then they were like, hey, we can make a whole bunch of these. I know that's not how it happened, but it looks to me design-wise like this could have been a springboard moment for the rest of the franchise. Rattata's cool. It's a rat. Rats are neat, but yeah. Bellsprout. The lack of a body for Bellsprout is a little unnerving to me. The way it just kind of moves around. Like if you look at how it's walking on those twigs, like that shouldn't work. But I do like how it uses those leaves as like arms. That's funny and shouldn't work either, but is like endearing in a way. And the enormous head compared to the absolute nothingness of the body is really funny to me. Zubat, I don't know. I like the idea that this is a Pokemon. At least in Gen 1, it's one of the only things that can learn Supersonic, if I remember right. And the idea that this is a thing that just screeches and yells at you, and that's its whole plan, is fun to me. Staryu. So this is more or less just a starfish, but it's got that gem in the center, and it does, like, if you've watched the show, they move in a way with the arms that I don't know that starfish are supposed to be able to do. Like they can like walk on them and stuff, and they're cute in that way. Tentacool. This is another Pokemon that you look at and you go, oh, this is a monster. These are pocket monsters. And I do appreciate Tentacool for its very weird head, but also like the ability to be cute with its tentacles. Like normally you see tentacles on a monster and you think, oh, this is gonna probe me or other things, but Tentacool, I look at it and go, I'm gonna pick this up and this guy's gonna give me a hug, and not in like the bad way. I like Tentacool. Doduo. The idea that this is a two-headed bird and they just kind of run and they just fight each other is hilarious, and its big round fuzzy body with its big round fuzzy heads, those things all combined make Doduo pretty good. Muck. So I talked about coughing and liking that it was like a Pokemon based on real-world problems regarding pollution. Muck is really an embodiment of that. It is sludge. It is a pollution Pokemon. Basically, cities got so polluted that they came to life in their muck. I don't know. I should read up on it. I don't know how they created muck. I don't know if muck prefers to live in pollution or if it's made of pollution, right? But the reason that muck is here and not higher, even though I think it's actually a very cool design, and I love when they're able to integrate the designs of Pokemon into the world and like city life. You would think normally Pokemon being integrated into the natural world, but Pokemon that integrate into cities in particular is a cool design thing to me. Especially regarding the larger sense of the world and design and multimedia. That was like the thing I was looking forward to most in the Detective Pikachu movie, was seeing how all of these Pokemon coexist in the city. Kind of like if you watch Zootopia, right? The city is very alive in that movie, and there's entire parts of the city for like different types of animals, not because of like, I mean, it is kind of a theme, like the almost segregation type stuff, but because of the way that it's symbiotic, like the habitat meshes with them so well. And I really like when Pokemon starts to explore that, but I feel like they've only kind of scratched the surface. I wish they would do more, but that's Mug. Wheezing. So again, another like pollution oriented thing. So basically, the lesson, kids, is don't smoke. Smoking is bad for you. Smoking will kill you. Read any pack of cigarettes, and it tells you this on the box, actually. So apparently, smoking will cause you to develop not only a second head, but a third thing. Like, I don't think that's another head down there. I think that's just a tumor. But yeah, smoking bad. Wheezing kind of good. Poliwhirl. So all of the things I said about Poliwag, other than, I guess, the tail, are still present in Poliwhirl. And this, to me, does feel like a more complete design. But most importantly, I love that it evolved with gloves. It gives me very, like, Goofy vibes. Not Goofy like silly, but like the Disney character Goofy. Like, if you know, watch the Goofy movie. I forget if it's the first one or the second one, but one of the friend characters, they're just like sitting in a room, and he like pulls back his glove that's on his hand. They're all wearing these white gloves, and he's like, why do we always wear these gloves? And I think that every time I see Poliwhirl. Golem. So finally, Geodude has legs. Golem is very cool in a few ways. One, it has turned from just being a rock to, like, you can see, especially in this art, right? Like, it's a bomb. Golem is a bomb, and that's pretty neat. I do like when there's alternate evolution things for Pokemon, and Golem is one of the ones. There's not a lot in Gen 1, but is one of them that does have an alternate way to evolve. I don't mean alternate as in like a second way, just it doesn't evolve from leveling up. You evolve by trading a Graveler with someone, and then they get a Golem. So, you know, you might do some swapsies back and forth. But yeah, Golem is neat. Tauros. This is mostly just a Pokemon, but it is a, like, just a Pokemon. This is mostly just a real animal, but it is like a cool animal if we're talking about real animals, right? Like, I see lots of cats. I see tons of birds, probably more birds than I'd like. And then, not to say bad things about birds, but I'm just saying they like poop on my car and stuff. But I don't know if I've ever seen, now that I think about it, I don't know if I've ever seen a, like, proper bull like this. You know, not like a cow, but like a bull charging, right? Running with the bulls. I don't know if I've ever seen one in real life. Huh. But this one has 3 tails and iron horns. So that is automatically way cooler than just about any of the this is just an animal Pokemon. speaking of just an animal Pokemon, Mankey's a monkey. They changed one letter. They gave him a round nose, round body. That's it. Mankey is fun. Mankey gets a pass for being just an animal because it's just fun. They're angry little guys that just want to punch stuff, and I love them for being angry little guys that just want to punch stuff. Grimer is evolves into Muck. I ranked Grimer higher than Muck, mostly because Muck is like big and really scary. If I saw Muck in real life, I would be afraid of it. If I saw a Grimer in real life, they are small enough and silly enough with their big, dumb faces that I might, depending on like the quality of what the sludge looks like that these are made out of, I might actually like a Grimer. Hypno. Hypno is cool. I like the idea it's a hypnosis Pokemon. I like psychic Pokemon actually quite a bit. This one, it is like cartoonish and comical looking, but it is also like if you're looking at this, that's a naked guy, right? Or like a guy at least in like a skin tight yellow suit, but with a really outlandish, characterish nose and pointy ears. That's a guy in a suit. So Hypno doesn't rank as high as it probably should, because it looked like a guy in a suit, but I do still like it. Raticate. So Rattata is like a cute little thing. Raticate is a giant rat with really enormous teeth. And there's fun like Pokedex entries regarding Rattatas and how their teeth just keep growing forever, and how there's fun things in the world about them managing that. But Raticate are actually, as far as normal Pokemon go that are easily accessible, they're one of the stronger ones in Gen 1. They just hit really hard, and Hyper Fang is insane. And I just like that you kind of get a sense of the scale here, right? Like, see this crate that it's sitting on? That is a proper crate. There's a crowbar next to this Raticate. They're enormous to the point that it really kind of stops just being a real life animal and starts being a monster, right? And it's cool. Golbat takes the idea of bat just being a bat, and it's like, hey, this thing loves screaming. Let's do more with its mouth. What if we just gave it 10,000% more mouth? And I love that it has that much. It's just a mouth with wings. I love that it's a mouth with wings. Golbat is really fun. So Pinsir is interesting because let's see here. A few years ago, Pinsir would have probably been like, I would guess ranked like, or in the 140s. I did not like Pinsir. I don't like bugs. This has like an exoskeleton thing going on. The horns are fine. The mouth, I still hate the mouth. The like bulbous thing going on with the shoulders and like it's very buggy, and I don't like it. But I finally watched in catching up on the TV show. There's an episode in, I want to say it's in, oh, which show is that? The most recent season that had Ash. So not the newest show, but the previous one. What did they call that? I don't remember. But the Sword and Shield basically show, even though they didn't call the show Sword and Shield. There's an episode where there is a beauty contest for these Pokemon, and there's a Pinsir that enters in the beauty contest because it's trying to like win the heart of this other Pokemon, and it wants to impress it. And they're just helping this Pinsir get a girlfriend, essentially. And it's very endearing, and they actually like they put these flowers on it, and they put makeup on it, and like suddenly I'm like rooting for this Pinsir and going, wow, it's so cute and adorable. And I love this whole subplot that doesn't matter in the slightest, and I realized it made me a fan of Pinsir. So good on you, Pinsir, for moving a whole bunch of spots up from where it would have been for almost my entire life. So Drowsy I like way more than Hypno. For starters, not a dude in a suit. We're gonna start right there. Definitely not a dude in a suit. See how it doesn't have toes? See how it only has 3 fingers? See how it's not a person? Yeah. Great. But also I like the more like anteater look to it. I like that it's fat. Just Drowsy is neat. I like Drowsy. I like the idea that it's putting people to sleep and doing weird hypnosis things, and the name is great. Hypno is like a little too on the nose, and Drowsy is very on the nose, but it's fun. I think that Drowsy is a fun name. It's a fun Pokemon. Dratini, it's a little like dragon dude, just a little noodle. I love that it doesn't really have like a mouth and that it's a little noodle. There's not really anything else going on with Dratini. It's a little noodle. I like noodles. I like little dragons. Yeah, little noodle, no mouth. Speaking of mouth, Weepinbell, lots of mouth. Took the thing I liked about Bellsprout and got rid of all the things I didn't. It's like, hey, you like a big head? Well, what if the whole Pokemon was a big head and there's nothing else? All mouth, all head. Still got the leaf arms. Yeah. Weepinbell's hilarious. Seadra, way cooler than Horsey. It goes from being like, it's cute, I guess, to like, hey, this thing's gonna mess me up, huh? And also in later titles, not in Gen 1 because they didn't have dual typing, but in later titles, this does get the dragon type, which is very cool. Kadabra. So Abra, annoying because it runs away from me. Kadabra does not run away from me. Already a good start. But also it has a spoon now. I've talked a lot about not liking humanoid Pokemon too much. I don't think it's that humanoid. The weird head shape, you know, I mean, look at the arm, look at the hands, look at the feet. Not really humanoid. It's bipedal. That's about where it ends. But the spoon thing is cool, and I love the giant mustache. Poliwrath. Forgot I picked this art. I love the clay art Pokemon cards. They're so goofy and fun. So now we know why Poliwhirl got gloves, because it's gonna punch you, it turns out. It got very angry as it grew up. This pretty much is just the same as a Poliwhirl, except it's bulkier, it's bigger, and it's ready for punching. And I love that it got angry. I just think that's fun. Dodrio, everything I like about Doduo, you just add 30%. Or I guess, depending on how you look at it, you're adding 50%. Anyways, there's 3 now instead of 2. And when you have 3, it's a lot harder to get them to agree. So I love in the show, especially, like the show is carrying Dodrio's ranking. Because there's an episode or a handful of episodes with Dodrios, and they're always just like pecking at each other and arguing, and they can't decide anything. And I love that it's just 3 idiots with one body. And that's great. Victreebel, more mouth. This one does add a little more leafage going on, but the reason I like Victreebel more than Weepinbell is Team Rocket. Is eventually James has a Victreebel, and it just pops out of its Pokeball and eats him, and that is always funny. Every time Victreebel eats James, I will laugh. It doesn't matter if it's the first time or the 1000th time I've seen a scene where that happens. It's funny. That's the only thing Victreebel has going for it, is eating James. Golduck. So Golduck is cool. I like the like aggressive, edgy duck parts of it. I like the how do I talk about this? So Golduck is far more focused than Psyduck. which is good for the idea of battling with it, but it's not as good for just being a funny Pokemon. But Golduck is actually, like, on a coolness factor, very cool. Speaking of cool Pokemon, Marowak. Marowak has one thing going for it, and it's dying. Okay, that's not true. I like that it uses its bone as like a boomerang, and but yeah, Marowak I like overall because of the whole the tower in Lavender Town, excuse me, the tower in Lavender Town where you find a dead Marowak is very interesting, and I talked about this in the main video, but it's one of the most compelling story points and world building in the video game. They don't actually have a lot of like thoughtful world building in that game, in Generation 1 at least. Most of it gets expanded upon in all of the other parts of the multimedia franchise, but the tower in Lavender Town is very cool, and just like, especially the first time I did it, right? I didn't know I needed to go get the Silph Scope. I didn't know that. I was 6? No, not even. But anyways, so you get to the tower, you climb through the tower, you fight all of these Pokemon, or you dodge them, whatever, and then you get to the Marowak, and it's like, oh, I can't attack with you, I can't interact with you, I can't see you. This is now this great big mystery, and it's very cool. And then you're like, oh, I need to go over here, I need to get this thing, and then okay, now I can use the Silph Scope, and now I can see you, and hey, you're not a ghost Pokemon. And then you were like, oh, it is a ghost Pokemon, it's just dead, of a not ghost Pokemon. And then there's the whole subplot with Cubone and stuff, and things that I'll talk about when we get to Cubone. But yeah, so Marowak has a lot going for it, and almost none of it is other than throwing the bone, almost none of it is on the merit actually of Marowak. Clefable. So overall, I think that Clefable fits into the boring evolution stuff that I talked about earlier, but I appreciate that it evolves with the Moonstone. In Gen 1, it's just normal, and actually many generations, it's just normal. It's not until X and Y introduces fairy types that I think Clefairy and Clefable actually get interesting. And this ranking is basically based on how it is in Gen 1. So I do like Clefable higher than the number 79 ranking kind of indicates. As a fairy Pokemon, and like caring more about moon stuff is very cool, but it's kind of boring in Gen 1, other than it can learn a ton of different moves from TMs, more than almost anything, so you can really diversify your Clefable, and that's cool. So Dratini is a little noodle, and now Dragonair is like, hey, that's a dragon. So I like the addition of the like pearls, whatever these orbs are, that kind of go away. I wish they did more with the orb things. It's cool. If I saw a Dragonair in real life, I would probably cry. Like, I feel like it would be one of the most beautiful creatures I've ever seen. Even in the context of Pokemon, I think Dragonair is a beautiful creature that is, like, it's not threatening, even though I know it could kill me. It's not threatening looking, it's just very majestic. Dugong. So Seal is a seal. Dugong is a Pokemon, and that's kind of that's kind of the difference. That's really it. I love its big dumb face. Dugong actually looks to me more like a Digimon than a Pokemon, but that's okay. I like Digimon too. And this is about how much I like Seal, other than just being a seal. So it's this cute, right? It's very cute and dumb. I love the dumb face. So Magmar is, I really like they did this, they made it so interesting Generation 1 when you did have non-legendary Pokemon that don't evolve. They feel more special to me. And Magmar is like this big dumb thing. I mean, I realize that this art is like exaggerated, right? But like, look at its forehead. Magmar looks dumb. And that's true in the games too. It just looks dumb, but it's this big, giant, fire-spewing thing that is like just very, very unique and interesting, and very much not based on an animal. I appreciate that it's like, you look at this and you go, this isn't in any way based on any animal in real life. But you also look at it and you're like, it's bipedal, but outside that, it's definitely not human. That's for sure. So Magmar is very cool in those regards. So Kabuto, very boring, nothing going on. Kabutops, lots of stuff going on. It's got legs, it's got arms, 2 enormous scythes, a giant head. Kabutops is very cool. I don't really have an attachment to Kabutops because I always picked the other fossil, but yeah, it's cool. It's the problem with Kabutops, the reason it doesn't rank higher really is that there is another Pokemon with scythes for arms that I like much more. So Clefairy, Clefable I talked about kind of being an uninspired evolution as far as appearance. Clefairy, I think, even more so keeps the like moon feeling going on with it. They're little, they're cute. You know, just yesterday I did Super Mario Galaxy was my video for my daily countdown project, and these remind me of, well, I guess the other way around. The Lumas remind me of Clefairies. Like they're almost star-like. They feel like they belong with the moon. They're cute and they're adorable, and that's kind of it. There's a reason that the Pokédoll item, like that saves a Pokemon, is there's a reason that it's a Clefairy. They're cute. They just are. So Diglett is where do I start with Diglett? It's a little guy. He digs in the ground. No feet, no really bottom anything. It's not a worm. Worms have, you know, a rest of a body. They have a front end, they have a back end. Digletts have a front end. It's the side with their face. I love their little nose and their beady eyes and stuff. I'm not sure what the bottom of a Diglett is. I don't know that Diglett leave dirt. I think maybe the dirt is part of the Diglett. I think the dirt is the bottom of the Diglett. There's just something to me about this. This is the simplest, like as far as body shape, design, whatever, of any Pokemon in the 20 whatever years of these existing. It's coming up on 28 years. I think that's right. Maybe that's already happened. And it's the simplest one because it's just a little guy that's round and he pops out of the ground. Diglett is super cute. Wartortle. So the starters in Gen 1 are obviously all amazing. They're phenomenal. Every single one. So Wartortle, though, to me, is not different enough from Squirtle. I like the like wing ear things. I like that its tail got bushy. But other than that, it is kind of still just Squirtle. So that's tanked Wartortle a bit. That being said, the name Wartortle is amazing and really good. The idea, like the shift from Squirtle to Blastoise, like aesthetically, you're like, wow, that's a big leap from Wartortle to Blastoise. But the name like allows you to be like, oh, I can see how we got to cannons. That makes sense that this is a tank now. So there's a lot going for Wartortle. Like I said, all of the starters are amazing. And like 50 games ago, I talked about how I still, like at that point, it was like, oh, I like this Pokemon. Gen 1 is just this good and this stacked. So Diglett was cute, and Dugtrio is just 3 of them. Why is it 3 of them? I don't know. It just is. And that is also extra funny to me. And I can't explain this. I said that Execute made me a little uncomfortable for it. Dugtrio's just funny. It's just funny. So fun fact, Rhyhorn, number 70 Rhyhorn, was the first Pokemon that Game Freak designed. This was the first one they made when they started making the game, and then they went from there. So this really was the launching point for the whole franchise. It all came from a design for Rhyhorn. Now maybe they had other ideas before they made the Rhyhorn, but this is the first one they actually made. I didn't work there. I would have been 2 when this game came out in Japan. But yeah, it's cool. Lots of respect for the OG. It is a monster for sure. I love that it's like a dinosaur. I love that it is on 4 legs and not like Rhydon. The design of like the spikes, like a Stegosaurus spines, whatever you want to call it, at the top, but in the sides and the armor plates are all very cool and I think very unique. And if I had a Rhyhorn in real life, I think, you know, like I would pet it. We'd be buddies. It'd be great. I'd give him a big old hug. He'd hug me back. Be a good time. Hitmonlee. There are 2 fighting Pokemon that you can pick from at the Fighting Dojo. Hitmonlee is one of them. Hitmonlee's the worst one. I actually still very much like Hitmonlee a whole lot. I like the naming schemes for them. You know, it's Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan. So this isn't a knock against Bruce Lee. He's amazing. I like Jackie Chan more. Like as a fighter, as a like philosopher, Bruce Lee is amazing. Like I will read stuff written by Bruce Lee any day. Stuff written by Jackie Chan is probably whatever, but I will watch Jackie Chan fight before I'll watch Bruce Lee fight. So that's kind of where that comes from. And then that's just from the design inspiration perspective. I like the idea of the punching a little more than the kicking. And I'll talk about Hitmonchan more when I get there. But there are some moveset things about Hitmonchan that make me like it much more than Hitmonlee. So Vileplume is very cute, and I love the giant like flower thing going on, and the like it's a cute body. This is a Pokemon, right? Like you look at this and you're like, that is a Pokemon for sure. There's nothing real animal about this. It's rooted in like plants that exist, but I like Vileplume a lot. I like the storylines with Vileplume in the TV shows. Vileplume's great. So I like Mankey because it's just an angry little monkey. Primeape gets extra angry, and I'll be talking more about Primeape actually probably in just another video. So I'll expand on this later. I know that's vague, but I like that somehow it got chains that it broke when it evolved. I don't know what's up with that. And I love the permanent like anger thing on its face. And it's just so angry, and that is hilarious to me. Fire Horse is cool. Ponyta is very cute. It's a very cute horse, and I like that it's on fire. That's it. It's a cute horse on fire, and I don't think it needs to be anything other than that, to be honest. That's it. So Magnemite, super sweet. I love the design of Magnemite. I love how in the show they address Magnemites with, like, when there's more Magnemites in a space, like in a city, they mess with electrical fields and can create all sorts of problems. And I love the, like, screws on Magnemite. I love the magnet arms. There's a lot to the singular eye. Magnemite is phenomenal, and I love Magnemite. Ammonite. Praise Lord Helix. Long may he reign. And realistically, I would probably I would stop the evolution of an Ammonite into an Amistar. Ammonite is cute. Amistar is uncomfortable and creepy. Praise Lord Helix. So Ghastly, ghost Pokemon are my favorite type of Pokemon. They are my favorite type. Ghastly, Hunter, and Gengar are the only ghost Pokemon in Gen 1. It's one evolution line. Ghastly is neat in the like more nebulous ghost idea. It's just a ball with a face and shadow around it. Ghastly is not that like exciting. It's not that spooky, but I just like it. It's cool that it exists, and I love ghost Pokemon. So Execute evolves into Executor, which somehow we go from 6 eggs to 3 things. I don't know if I can call these eggs. I'm not sure what the head is supposed to be. But now it's a tree, and it does walk around, and it's dumb. Like I get the impression that Execute is like crafty and clever and smart. And Executor is dumb, just a big idiot, and maybe a little high. So Executor is way cooler to me than Execute, and I actually do love Alolan Executor. I already talked about that. I ranked Sun and Moon a while ago and did a video like this for that. And Alolan Executor is hilarious, and this is just cool. So Nidoqueen, so you'll notice I haven't ranked Nidoking yet. I ranked the female Nidoran, Nidorina higher than their male counterparts. Nidoking I'm going to be ranking higher than this. Not a lot higher, but some. Mostly the thing I don't like about Nidoqueen is that the armor plating kind of stopped looking like armor plating, which I think it should still, even though it's like softer and rounder than Nidoking stuff, it should still look a little bit like plating. But more importantly, like, it is weird to me that Nintendo thought the only way that they could be like, this is the female one, is to, like, with the color palette, you know. I don't think that was actually necessary, and it gets borderline kind of like, well, they're called Game Freak. We'll leave it there. So Starmie, evolution from Staryu, way bigger. What you don't get in the sense of scale here in this picture is that Starmie is very tall. It's I want to say it's like 4.5 feet tall, 5 feet tall, something like that. It's very tall for a starfish, and it gets to do a lot more like personified movements, not humanoid, but personified movements with its arms, with its, well, I guess they're all arms, maybe. Again, I'm not an expert on anatomy for starfish. But it could bow if it wanted. It could do a full, like, put its arm in front of it, dip its top arm, head, whatever you want to call it, and bow, and like it could do like a whole thing. I'm guessing a Starmie could curtsy. Starmie, to look at, to me, not actually especially interesting, but to watch how they animate Starmie in the shows is actually very fun and creative, and I very much dig it. I talked about with Magmar, I like when non-legendary Pokemon don't evolve in Gen 1. They feel special. Onix feels special. It's important in the TV show as well. Onix is very cool. It's enormous. I like that it's... How do I put this? I like Pokemon that make the world exciting. Onix is an exciting Pokemon. You're out traveling in the wilderness from one city to the next, and you run into an Onix, that would be like, whoa! And yeah, and it's just a bunch of rocks, and Onix is cool. So Slowpoke is, man, where do I start? For starters, look at his face. There's nothing going on up in that brain. Oh man, there's so nothing. It is the emptiest brain you will ever find in nature. Slowpoke is probably dumber than grass. And I don't mean grass Pokemon, I mean grass. I think that a blade of grass has more intelligence than a Slowpoke. I love that they're just lazing about, doing nothing, and then somehow that gives them psychic powers. Slowpoke is great. Slowpoke is very funny. Slowpoke is cute. There's a lot of reasons to like Slowpoke. Tentacruel takes all of the things about Tentacool I said about it being cute, and I would give that thing a hug and then probably throw all of that out the window. This looks like a giant alien that is like going to invade Earth and kidnap you, and actually when you watch the show, I think they changed the scale of Tentacruel at some point, because they're freaking enormous in the show, at least the first time you see them. They're like the size of buildings. Tentacruel is very cool as a Pokemon with like its move set. It gets access to water attacks, of course. It gets access to poison attacks, of course, but it also gets like some electric stuff. It gets a lot of things that are really interesting, and I like that its head reminds me of a Master Ball. Which is fun, I think. I'm not sure if it was chicken or the egg, but yeah. So Oddish is just cute. That's literally it. There's nothing else to Oddish. No arms, little tiny feet, big round body, small little face, plant. That's it, Oddish. It's odd-ish. The name is good too. So I picked this art for the slideshow for Arbok because Jesse's in it. I talked about with Ekans that anything affiliated with Team Rocket, and by Team Rocket I mean specifically Jesse and James, gets a boost. And Arbok gets a big boost because it looks like this terrifying, horrible thing, and like, oh, they're evil. Team Rocket's evil. They're gonna be doing bad stuff, and oh, that Arbok is menacing, and I love the like big cobra, scary looking stuff it's got going on. But then, when they're not in battle, or even sometimes in battle, you see how it treats Jesse with nothing but love, and it's like so cute, and they really take care of their Pokemon for being bad guys, you know? And obviously their role evolves over time in the shows, and they're not actually like that bad by the end. But yeah, Arbok is cool in how it changed the character of Jesse and showcased that over many years of the show. Vulpix is adorable. It's letting out a little yell there. It's in power stance, legs wide, feet out. It's just really cute. If I could, sometimes I think about, you know, if Pokemon were real, right? Why wouldn't you think about that? And Vulpix is one that I would for sure own. I would have a Vulpix. I love its little tiny tails and its little like fire breathing, but not like too much fire breathing, you know? It's just really cute, and like it's got bangs. I love Vulpix. All right, Lickitung, another non-legendary Pokemon that doesn't evolve, gets a little boost for that. But man, this dude loves food. I love food, and the tongue is hilarious. I know that's the whole gimmick. And yeah, big tail, big belly, big legs, like a tongue. Nidoking. Okay, so I talked about Nidoqueen. Nidoking very clearly still armored. I like that. It does look more like the poison Pokemon it is. I still overall like the color of Nidoqueen more, but being a poison Pokemon, the purple, like this is a more purple compared to what Nidorino has going on, and I think it works well for being a poison type. And also, it's like Giovanni's big guy, right? As far as the gym leader aspect of him goes. So Nidoking is like memorable for being like the boss monster of the last gym leader you need to beat. So Sandshrew is an armadillo. It's not. Oh, I guess it's got a bigger tail than a regular armadillo, but basically it's an armadillo, and but it's just so dang cute that it gets all of the passes on just being an animal. And I love the like armor plating, and oh man, I would love to have a Sandshrew. Sandslash, not that cute, not that interesting. Sandshrew, less going on, way more cute, way better. Growlithe, yeah, just look at this picture. Little fire dog, being a puppy, being floofy, a little bit of booty. Yeah, Growlithe, floofy booty. Rapidash. So Ponyta, Fire Horse. Rapidash, slightly bigger, but not that much bigger, Fire Horse. They're basically the same Pokemon, except Rapidash also has a horn. Whereas Ponyta, I'm trying to remember, does it have a nub? Do I combine that in my head? Anyways, Rapidash. The reason Rapidash ranks higher, especially like kind of significantly higher than Ponyta, is the episode of the show where Ash needs to participate in that race, and he needs to convince the Rapidash that he's a friend. And I love that episode. One, it's just a good story, but two, it showcases the biggest question that little kid me had about the world up until that point. And I saw that episode. We had that episode on VHS. I watched that episode a bunch. So the thing that I like about it so much is that it shows, like, why is it that fire Pokemon don't just burn everyone and everything around them all the time? Always. They're on fire. And obviously, if you haven't seen the episode that I'm talking about, basically the Rapidash will burn Ash if Ash touches the flames, because it doesn't trust Ash. But then, over the course of the episode, Ash earns this Rapidash's trust, and he can touch it and pet it and run his hand through the fire on the Pokemon's body, and it doesn't burn him. It doesn't, like, it's just comfortably warm. And then he gets to ride the Rapidash, and they win the race, and it's a whole thing. But that idea kind of opened my eyes to what the larger Pokemon world could be, of all of these things that are, you know, many of them, again, in the name monsters, they can all coexist peacefully. And man, I have a lot I could say about coexisting peacefully right now, and I'm gonna just move on to number 48. Pidgeot. Another just bird, but Pidgeot's way bigger than even Pidgeotto, which was way bigger than Pidgey. For the most part, I don't actually care that much about Pidgeot, but I do have a special attachment to Pidgeot because it is the Pokemon, one of the Pokemon that I beat Pokemon Red with for the first time. I beat the Elite Four, I beat the champion, I became the champion. And my big Pokemon was actually Pidgeot. I don't remember why I did this, but I had a bunch of rare candies, and I was struggling with something, and then I dumped like 20 rare candies into Pidgeot, and then Pidgeot just kind of steamrolled the rest of the game, just leveled it up. Pidgeot was the first level 100 Pokemon I ever had in my life. I did a lot with that Pidgeot. I pretty much just brought out Charizard for the stuff that was weak to fire. Like there was an ice Pokemon that Lorelei had, and that was about it. The rest was all Pidgeot, and yeah, Pidgeot is always going to be cool to me. It's still just a bird, although a very big one, but a special bird. So Vaporeon is the first evolution on here. Basically, I love all of the evolutions. They're all great. And you know, you'll see how much I like Eevee because of that. Vaporeon's fine. It's cool. And actually, you'll see the file that I recorded gameplay with does have a Vaporeon on the team. But that's not because I like Vaporeon so much more than Flareon or Jolteon. It's just that with the rest of what I had on the team, a water Pokemon was helpful. So I just was like, hey, I got Eevee. I can have a water Pokemon. And there it is, Vaporeon. So Voltorb. Electrode, I didn't like at all, even though I do like it. But I ranked it poorly because it's lazy evolution design. Voltorb, now I can talk about why I like these things. One, it's just a ball. I love that it's just a ball. I love that it explodes. The whole self-destruct thing is hilarious. I love that it's an angry little metal electrical ball. But I do like Voltorb a lot because it looks like a Pokeball. I mean, obviously, like that's clearly the intent. And so Pokeball, when I picture Pokeball, I think red on top, white on bottom. Electrode is backwards. That's another strike against Electrode. Besides the idea that it just flipped Voltorb, you look at it and you're like, this is just wrong. This doesn't feel right, and that's because Voltorb looks right. Electabuzz. So like Magmar, this is a big bipedal dude that's not a legendary Pokemon but doesn't evolve. I like it way more than Magmar. One, Magmar looks dumb. Electabuzz looks cool. I like the lightning like stripes on its body. The idea of like it doing Thunder Punch to me feels very iconic. Electabuzz is really, really cool looking and hits like a bus, and I don't know, I just really like it. I cannot state how much, I cannot overstate how much I love the electrical patterns on its body. All right, so Slowpoke has so much nothing going on in its brain that it'll just leave its tail in the water because I think it's because it helps cool its body down and it feels good. There's a reason they do it. I think it's like a cooling thing. It's just relaxing. And then something eventually will come along and bite it. And then it evolves. This is so evolutionary to them that they are dumb and put their tails in the water that this is what causes them to evolve. Canonically, obviously in the game you just level it up. But it's still dumb. It didn't learn a thing. But it does get a little stronger with its psychic stuff, and it can get a little more control over that. It's dumb, but it can formulate a plan now. It's just a dumb plan. And they're a little bigger. They can stand up on 2 feet. They can walk. I think it's a balancing thing with the thing on their tail. And they're just goofy little guys, and I love them. We'll get to this when I cover, you know, another game later. But Slowking, oh man, I love that guy. So Farfetch'd is very neat. There's a lot of reasons to like Farfetch'd. It's a bird, but it's got a big leak. I love the big leak. I love that it is like gonna hit you with the big leak. It's attached to the leak. The other thing I like Farfetch'd, apart from the leak, which for the record is carrying a lot of weight in this ranking. It is really just another flying Pokemon, but it hits you with a leak. Is that if, as was the case with me initially growing up, we only had, we had one Game Boy, but multiple cartridges. So we couldn't trade with each other, me and my brothers, until later we got another Game Boy. But until then, we were playing these games, and we couldn't trade to like do the cool stuff with like evolving Graveler into Golem or Alakazam or Gengar. But we could still trade with some of the characters in the world. It's not really a trade that allows you to do those things. But for example, there's a character that this is how you get Farfetch'd. You cannot catch Farfetch'd. I expand on this more in my main video, but I do like alternative ways of doing things in the game, and being able to just go to this person and trade them a Spearow and get the Farfetch'd is like a fun little almost quest line, even though the game doesn't call them that. And I associate that entire system in every game. Anytime someone's like, hey, I'll give you this for this, and that's how you get it in that game, they're all Farfetch'd to me. They're all a Farfetch'd variant. That whole system is Farfetch'd, and that's why Farfetch'd is almost cracking the top 40. So Flareon is cooler than Vaporeon. Well, it's hotter, but it's cooler than Vaporeon on two things. One, I tend to like fire Pokemon a little more than I tend to like water Pokemon. I just do. But two, it's fluffy. Look at all that chest floof. I would pet that. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know how much I would pet a Vaporeon. I feel like I'd get a cold. But just I could cuddle with that Flareon. Like use it like a little pillow. Not like a whole lot, but a little. But yeah, Flareon better than Vaporeon. Floofy. So Machamp, way better than Machoke, way better than Machop. It's still bipedal, it's still human-ish, but hey, it has 4 arms, and thus very much less human-ish than Machoke. Machamp is very cool. One, just the name, like it's the undisputed champion. It's gonna punch you, it is gonna beat the crap out of you. Machamp is very cool. There's a lot of stuff that's cool about Machamp in the world of Pokemon. Like in the show and in some of the other games, you see Machamp doing like construction, like lifting steel beams and doing stuff. Machamp is super sweet. So Magneton, like Dugtrio, is just 3 Digletts. Magneton is just 3 Magnemites, which at least makes more sense. They have magnets, they stick together. Electromagnets cause them to stick together even stronger. They have electronic fields forcing them together. That makes sense. I love when evolutions do dumb stuff like this, and oh man, is Magneton dumb, but I love it for it. So Charmeleon is the middle evolution for Charmander and Charizard, which you'll see rank very highly. Charmeleon is I think another one of those poorly thought out evolutions where it's not that different. Like I see how it's a middle ground between the two, but it's really not that different. Charmeleon to me isn't cute like Charmander. It's not awesome and epic like Charizard, so it kind of is in this middle ground of not being good at any of it, but it does rank way higher than the other poor evolution Pokemon just on the back of how much I love the things it's sandwiched between. So Ninetales, Vulpix has turned into a mythical beast with 9 tails. It's the dumbest name maybe in the entire franchise, but it's so dumb I kind of like it again. And I don't know, it's just really floofy. I feel like I could just like I could take a nap in even just one of the tails. Like I feel like I could go on a safari in one of the tails. They're so bushy and so floofy. If I had a real Ninetales, I'd never be able to stop brushing it. That would be my full-time job forever until the day I die. But I think it would be worth it. Ninetales is super sweet. So Jigglypuff. I have a lot of thoughts about Jigglypuff. One, it's like, it's fine. It's a little ball. It's cute. It's pink. It's not Kirby. It gets docked points for not being Kirby. But oh, and it's really annoying in like Smash Brothers. Jigglypuff is very annoying to play against. I don't like playing against Jigglypuff, and it's ironic because I say that as a Kirby main. But yeah, Jigglypuff's annoying there. However, in the TV show, the one Jigglypuff, like there's, you know, if you've watched, you know, the one Jigglypuff is a great recurring side character. I love the singing them to sleep and then drawing all over their faces, and like it's not doing it to put them to sleep. It just wants to sing and then they fall asleep, because that's what Jigglypuffs do. They sing, like the attack sing makes you fall asleep, but they think that like you hate its performance so much that you fell asleep, and then it gets angry. It's funny, it's cute, it's a great plot device, terrific plot device. And I love that it somehow, I don't know where it keeps the Sharpie. I don't want to know where it keeps the Sharpie, but I love that it always has this marker on it, because everyone keeps falling asleep on it and wants to draw on you as revenge. Jigglypuff's fun. Lapras. So again, non-legendary Pokemon doesn't evolve. And actually, unlike, let's see here, I forgot to mention, Farfetch doesn't evolve either in Gen 1. Most of the Pokemon I've talked about that I say don't evolve, evolve later. Their evolutions get added in other games. Lapras still does not evolve. I love that it's a dinosaur. Is it a Leopleurodon? Yeah, I think it's a Leopleurodon. And like, to me, the idea of using the ability Surf or maybe Waterfall, but more so Surf, to swim and ride on water, to me it's just you're on Lapras. The sprite kind of looks like you're on Lapras even when you're not on Lapras. And obviously, I'm not the only one that thought this, because in Pokemon Sun and Moon, you get these riding Pokemon, and this specific Pokemon that you can like call to you. The swimming one is Lapras. This is not a unique thought. I think that Lapras are very cool. There's a lot of great stories about Lapras online. There's the kid that released like thousands of Lapras. They bred and released thousands of Lapras into the wild in their game, because in the Pokedex it talked about them being nearly extinct and it wanted to like help. And then so when Nintendo learned about this, in a later game they actually updated the Pokedex to be like, they used to be, I think it was in Sun and Moon, because that's why they're able to use it for the ride thing. They're like, they used to be endangered, but thanks to excellent conservation efforts, Lapras are now a bountiful and plenty species. And like, just that story, I don't know if it's true. I'm gonna believe that it's true. Is so great, because it kind of shows how this world and these characters and the monsters have pulled people together from all around the whole actual world to do lots of great things. And there's tons of stuff. I mean, this is just a cute story, but there's like real charity initiatives. There's real things that happen that are impactful and good because of Pokemon. And I think that's one of the reasons that it's been such a long-standing franchise that's so resonant with so many people, because there's a lot of care put into the world and a lot of care put into the designs, and they inspire people to do better things in real life. Maybe I'm reading into all of this a little too much, getting a little too preachy, I don't know, but I'm feeling it. And Lapras to me embodies a lot of that. Ivysaur, number 35, Ivysaur. So this is it's, you know, I'm actually gonna come back to Ivysaur when I get to Bulbasaur. I will actually do those then, but Ivysaur is number 35. Scyther. So I talked about Kabutops being not as good to me, because there's another Pokemon with scythes for arms. Scyther, it's in the name, Scyther. And yeah, it's great. I love this Pokemon. I love that it flies around with knife arms and just cuts apart everything. It's bipedal, but it's not at all human-like. It's terrific. I love Scyther. And so the next is Kangaskhan, which is weird. So there's a lot of questions I have about Kangaskhan. So Kangaskhan is one of the coolest designs in all of Pokemon. The idea of caring for this kid, and there's a lot of sweet things in the anime that boost Kangaskhan a lot. All of the Safari Zone episodes are great, but the thing that I don't understand about Kangaskhan is technically the infant is part of the Kangaskhan. The thing that's tricky is that Kangaskhan doesn't evolve, and like, so when a Kangaskhan is hatched from an egg, it is full size Kangaskhan and has a child. But Pokemon are born in eggs. So where does the child come from, and what does it do? And it's not like it's like fixed in the pouch. It can hop out of the pouch. So there's a lot of questions I have about Kangaskhan, and I'm sure there's answers to these questions. I'm too afraid to look them up. If the answers are not weird, or too weird, I should say, feel free to drop them in the comments if you know what's going on here. If they're too weird, say nothing. I don't even want to know that it's too weird for me to want to look. But yeah, Kangaskhan is very cool. I like the Safari Zone. I like the design. The name is neat. Like kangaroo, like obviously that's where the like the pouch, it's like a Joey, right? And then Khan, because like Genghis Khan, that's all fun. It's one of the better names in Generation 1 for sure. Psyduck. So Misty's Psyduck is hilarious in the show, but every Psyduck is kind of hilarious. One, they're fat and they're little, and I like that they're fat. But the idea that, especially with Misty's Psyduck, they and all the Psyducks do this, but we follow obviously those characters, so we see hers do it. That they are extremely powerful psychic Pokemon, but only get to do that when they have a terrible headache. They're only powerful when they have this like migraine, and that's funny to me, and they're cute, and the bill is enormous, and I love the visual design of Psyduck. I love the like lore design of Psyduck. Psyduck is awesome. Butterfree. This might be as a little bit of a shock, considering how much I hate bug Pokemon and bugs in general. I will say I like butterflies. I like butterflies. I don't want to touch a butterfly. I don't want a butterfly to land on me, but I can appreciate that butterflies are very beautiful. I will go to a zoo and go to the butterfly house and check out the butterflies. I won't, check out most of the other bugs, but the butterflies are great. And so the other thing that makes Butterfree, there's 3 things that make Butterfree rank highly. 1 is the thing I just said. 2 is the moveset in the games. Butterfree is like kind of cracked. Butterfree is the best, I think, the best disabling Pokemon in Generation 1. It gets all of the good sleep powder, confusion stuff. You can like stack a bunch of things that are really good, and then it also gets like some psychic attacks, which I feel like it shouldn't, but it does, and it's great. I don't do any flying stuff with Butterfree. I don't do any bug stuff with Butterfree, and it's a bug flying type. In other games, it's just, I don't remember if it's just bug. I assume it's just bug in Generation 1. But yeah, so it does a lot for battling. That's cool. Butterfree is a good Pokemon. The third thing, and the reason I picked this art, is Ash's Butterfree. Obviously, if you've seen the episode where Ash says goodbye to his Butterfree, I don't care who you are, you're gonna cry. No one's not crying. That was amazing. And that catapulted Butterfree a whole lot for me. Butterfree might be my favorite bug Pokemon. Off the top of my head, that sounds right, but I'm not actually sure, so don't, like, you know, hold me to that. But it's up there. So Chansey. I love that Chansey works with Nurse Joy's. I love that Chansey is healing people. I don't know what's up with the egg, but I'm cool with it. And like, it's not like a Pokemon egg. It's like a soft-boiled egg. Like, it's just an egg. Chansey is great. It is a tank. That's the other thing I like about Chansey is in Gen 1, Chansey, and then by extension Blissey is so Chansey is one of the best tanks in Generation 1 because it just has a huge natural health pool and then also really good defensive stats, and it can do some real damage. Like you can do like takedown and stuff, and because it has the huge health pool, those downsides aren't as big of a deal because it can withstand a lot of other attacks while doing these self-harm things, and then it can have healing abilities. Chansey's a lot of fun to build with and to play with in the games for battling, and it's also a great visual design and also a great lore design. Chansey is winning in every single category. Moltres. This is the first legendary Pokemon on this list, actually legendary Pokemon. So it is to me the worst of the legendary birds. It's not bad. I mean, obviously this is number 29. It's not bad. The thing about Moltres to me that I don't like is there's two things. You might think that, oh, well, this is just an art design choice, and this art, if you haven't looked at a lot of Moltres, this is a bird. It's like a big fire chicken. It doesn't have feathers. If it has feathers, they've never indicated them in any form of media ever. It's like smooth, and that is uncomfortable to me. But it is kind of neat. I do wish that like the head shape was a little different, the beak shape maybe a little different, but it's pretty cool. All of the legendary birds rock. Moltres just rocks the least. Venusaur. I'm gonna circle back to Venusaur like I said with Ivysaur when I get to Bulbasaur, but I will say that I do appreciate the like dinosaur aspects to Venusaur. They're fun. It's one of the better, like if you wanted to play Gen 1 competitively, it might actually be the best starter. Its moveset's very good, its stats are very good, it does a lot. Haunter. So Ghastly evolves into Haunter. Again, only the 3 ghost Pokemon in this game. Very little ghost Pokemon, which makes them very unique. So there is that. They feel excuse me, they feel special. Talking this long, it's gonna have some problems. The thing I like about Haunter is it still has the like just floating face aspect of Ghastly that I really like, but now it has arms, and it actually, they could have not made Gengar and this still would have felt like it made sense as the final evolution, which actually in hindsight that does make sense, because unless you're able to trade the Haunter, you're not going to get or maybe even see a Gengar. I don't remember off the top of my head if Agatha has a Gengar. You might not see it. You might actually not see a Gengar at all in the game if you don't trade a Haunter. You might not know it's there other than a gap in your Pokedex. I don't remember off the top of my head. But yeah, so Haunter's great. The name is great. I mean, all of the you know, Ghastly, Haunter, those are good names for ghost Pokemon. I love the, like, in the show when it does like scary face and it scares the crap out of Ash. The whole thing of when Ash discovers that ghost Pokemon exist, essentially, that whole sequence is awesome. I love those episodes. So Jolteon is our next. No, that's the highest ranked. The highest ranked evolution. Obviously, Eevee is still yet to come, but I think it's the best visual design of them. It's a lightning Pokemon, and oh man, do those, like, I'm not going to call them spikes, because it is still fur, and I'm guessing it's actually soft. Kind of like in the way of Rapidash, not burning ash, right? If you pet a Jolteon and it likes you, it trusts you, it's going to be soft, it's going to be good to pet, it's going to be floofy. But yeah, it looks like lightning, it's very jagged, it's great visual design. I like it a lot. The idea of this is an electric Pokemon, it should be fast. This is, I mean, like, look at that character. That is a fast animal, right? You look at that and you just go, hey, this is what electric Pokemon should be, and it is. Mew, so this mythical legendary Pokemon, I love Mew. It's cute, it's great in the movie. I never got a Mew in, actually, I never got a Mew in any Pokemon game. Yeah, not just Gen 1. I've never gotten a Mew. Like, there was like mystery gifts, and there was other like events that I could have gone to get Mews, but I never was able to go to them. I don't think I've ever had a Mew. And so Mew is like something that I appreciate because of the shows, because of the world building, the card game. I've played a lot of Mews in the card game. I play a lot of almost exclusively Psychic decks in the TCG, or at least that's what I'm usually most excited to build with. Sometimes I see a Pokemon in another type that I'm like, oh, this specific thing is cool, but I will always look at all of the Psychic Pokemon for every set because they tend to be what I like the most. So I've played a lot with Mew, just not in the video games. And I like that it's mischievous. I like that it's you know, extraordinarily powerful, but also like, hey guys, let's be friends. I just want to have fun. And yeah, it's great. So Cubone, and yes, this art is very intentional. So I alluded to this when I was talking about Marowak. So Cubone doesn't do as much as Marowak, but it is the most, it might be the most interesting lore Pokemon in the franchise. Cubone I would probably never play on a team. I just don't care. It doesn't do anything I care about. But as a character, I love Cubones. So you are at the tower in Lavender Town. Basically it's a cemetery tower where people go and commune with the spirits of their dead Pokemon. And there's this Cubone there that it can't find its mother, and then you find its mother, and it's the ghost Marowak that you found with the Silphco scope. And the idea is that that skull on Cubone, what Cubone wear, like all Cubones, is they wear the skulls of their mothers. And I assume that the bone is like a femur or something too. But yeah, it's crazy. It's wearing its parents' dead skull, and like, people have made lots of comics. This is official art, and like, just look at it. Like it's at the park. There's a bunch of parents with their kids all having a great time, and this Cubone is just missing its mom, and that's obviously very sad. But it's very compelling storytelling, and Cubone will be with me forever, and I will love it forever. Gyarados, not compelling storytelling, not in the slightest. There's some Pokemon that I like because they are cute. There's some Pokemon I like because the world building is awesome, and there's some Pokemon I like because they're just cool. Gyarados is like a water Chinese dragon type thing, you know, not like a Western dragon, right, with the big wings and the yeah. This is very much Asian dragon, and it's got a big dumb mouth, and it's one of the most powerful Pokemon in the first generation, and it evolves from one of the weakest Pokemon in the first generation. So that like whole concept to me is terrific. Gyarados is very memorable. Gyarados is very cool. Obviously, if you've played Gen 2, if you've played Gold and Silver, you know that Gyarados is part of the storyline there. and it's very awesome. I love Gyarados more so for Gen 2 than for Gen 1 because of that story impact, but it does boost the Pokemon overall for me. Also, my only shiny I've caught in Sword and Shield by accident was I caught a shiny Magikarp, which I didn't even realize, and I almost tossed it, and and then I evolved it, and I was like, oh crap, that's a shiny Gyarados. I didn't even notice. So Aerodactyl, one of the other fossil Pokemon, very, very cool. Obviously this is a pterodactyl, it's a dinosaur. You could argue it's a real animal, but hey, I can't have one of those, so it's fake enough to me. And yeah, Aerodactyl's just super cool. It's my favorite. Yeah, it's my favorite fossil Pokemon, not just in this generation. It is my favorite fossil Pokemon. I'm a big fan of Aerodactyl. It does a whole lot of cool stuff, both moveset, but also the character design. It's awesome. Porygon. There's a lot to take in about Porygon. For starters, look at him. All right, you've looked at him? Good. So Porygon is a digital fake Pokemon. It's manufactured. It's very cool in that regard. In the game, you get Porygon by gambling a bunch at the game center. The gambling arcade game center that Team Rocket runs as a cover-up operation. And if you get enough of these coins, if you gamble enough of them and you win enough of them, you can spend a whole crazy amount of coins on getting a Porygon. It's the only way to get Porygon. I appreciate, again, as I've mentioned, like with Farfetch'd, when there's a unique way to get a Pokemon that's very different and you have to try, but it's not legendary. You can get multiple, they're just there. And then the other thing, of course, with Porygon is the episode that got banned from syndication and can't be aired on television because people had seizures because of how they animated Porygon. And that, I shouldn't say it's funny. It's not funny that people had seizures, but the idea that they messed up the animation so bad, that's kind of funny. And yeah, Porygon is just kooky. It's one of the weirdest Pokemon they've ever made. It's also one that they talk about the least because of course, the seizure issue. And yeah, it's just a thing about Pokemon's world and history that they don't really touch on anymore. Magikarp. So Gyarados, just cool. Magikarp, all bow down to the glory of the Carp Father. I love Magikarp. It is just a fish, but it's a dumb fish, and it's a big fish. It's a comically large fish, right? Like a Magikarp should be like 40 pounds of fish. I don't know, but they're not. They're just big, and they're dumb. And I love that it is a Pokemon that can't hurt you. It just learns Splash, and it splashes around. Even if you're in water, it just goes like blah 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 blah, carp, and yeah, it's Magikarp. And then it evolves into a big, terrifying, scary monster. And yeah, that idea is genius, and maybe one of the best decisions they made at all regarding making this whole franchise was the idea of having a weak, useless Pokemon turn into a powerhouse. So Hitmonchan, you can see Hitmonlee back there. There's the Jackie Chan one, even though Jackie Chan wasn't really doing a whole lot of boxing, but hey, they had to pick something. And they probably weren't going to, they probably, can you imagine if they had picked Mike Tyson? That'd be wild. But anyways, so Hitmonchan, the reason I like it so much more, other than the Jackie Chan thing I talked about, is that it learns elemental punches. It can learn Thunder Punch, it can learn Fire Punch, it can learn Ice Punch. And so that allows you to, in addition to having really strong, good fighting attacks, you can really diversify your Hitmonchan, so it has a super effective attack against most type matchups. It makes Hitmonchan really good. Its base stats are pretty solid, at least for physical attacks. It's just, it does everything, and it's one of the most flexible Pokemon in all of Generation 1, and I love it for that. And I also I didn't really talk about this with Hitmonlee, I do like how you get them. I do like that you go to the fighting dojo and you fight this gauntlet of fights against a whole bunch of fighting Pokemon. You probably have like a psychic Pokemon with you and you just blow them up. But it's easy, but it's fun, and then being able to pick your reward at the end is an interesting thing, and especially if you go into it blind and you don't really know what you're gonna want. It's a thing that allows the game to have a little more replayability in a way, and so I do actually really like the two of them for that. Even though, did you know I've beaten Gen 1, either the regular game, like actually on Game Boy, or like Fire Red, or I covered Let's Go Eevee earlier. In some form, I've probably beaten Gen 1 like 9 times, and I think I've picked Hitmonchan every single time. It's just so much cooler than Hitmonlee. Number 18 is Zapdos. There's the next legendary bird. This one looks less like a weird chicken and more like a big scary bird. So how's that going for it? Like Jolteon, I like the jagged stuff for electric Pokemon. I talked about this with Manectric when I covered that game, and I love jagged shapes on electric Pokemon, and this to me is like, I look at Moltres and I'm like, well, that's funny looking. If I saw a Zapdos barreling down on me, I would need new pants. Meowth. More specifically, I am ranking here, I guess it's not just. I do like the like money coin, the amulet, whatever on Meowth. That's fun. I like that it's like a lucky cat. Like if you've seen those things where like the paw bats down, lucky cats are cute. But really this ranking is so outrageously heavily biased by Team Rocket. I think that Meowth is the best member of Team Rocket, and yeah, Meowth is amazing. I will say that like I like that individual Meowth more than that individual of pretty much, not necessarily all, but pretty much all of the 16 Pokemon that rank higher than it. So, you know, I'm not literally ranking Team Rocket's Meowth, but it definitely puts its thumb on the scale. Ditto is great. It's everything. We'll start with that. So, you know, gets to do anything. But I love the goopy design. I love that somehow, despite that, it does have a face. It does have like kind of arms. I love the episode of the show where they're trying to get the Ditto to like build up its confidence and not have the dumb face. Even though I love the dumb face, I love some of the stuff they've done with the trading card game, like with the Pokemon Go set, having the Ditto sticker cards was super cool and exciting. There's so many good things to say about Ditto, even like not even getting into the idea that it is the thing that makes breeding Pokemon not suck horribly. If Ditto didn't exist, I don't think I would breed Pokemon. I just wouldn't. I would catch what I caught and then call it a day. I would never breed a Pokemon if I didn't have Ditto, and for that I love it. Articuno, the best legendary bird. Basically, there's not a lot of ice Pokemon in the game. It is really down there with ghost Pokemon, and today ghost Pokemon have gotten a lot more love over time. Ice Pokemon have not. It is the least represented typing in the whole franchise, and so Articuno automatically gets bonus points for getting representation, and good representation. It's a good Pokemon for one of the most underrepresented types. Although, like, I get why it's underrepresented. Like, it's pretty hard to differentiate water and ice most of the time, because, hey, did you know ice is water? And, yeah, I still don't understand how they didn't think that through some more. But that's not Articuno's fault. The other thing about Articuno is it is the most bird. I mean, look at it. It's got feathers. It's got plumage. It's got a beak that doesn't look like it will never access anything ever. I do like the jagged almost hair going on with it. I love the colors of Articuno. I love the the chest belly part being a bit different. There's a lot to love. I think it has the silhouette isn't quite as striking as Zapdos, but it's very good, and it looks like I feel like a legendary Pokemon should, even though I know that's arbitrary. Articuno's phenomenal. Arcanine. So Growlithe, cute little puppy. Arcanine, just a little baby, like 150-pound little baby. Arcanine is great. So Pokemon, if you haven't ever looked at this, like in the Pokedex, it'll say things like each Pokemon is the whatever Pokemon. For example, I think that Delibird is like the delivery Pokemon, and so Arcanine is the legendary Pokemon. It's not a legendary Pokemon, but it is the legendary Pokemon because it's like adventurers of legend and stuff like that. And actually, if you watch the newest show, Pokemon Horizons, they lean into that. There is a relative of the main character who has a history of going on these great big crazy adventures. She's an adventurer, she's a treasure hunter, and her partner Pokemon is an Arcanine, and that's a legendary Arcanine, and it's just so big. I love big dogs. I want a dog that, if I am not worried that I might die because the dog fell asleep on me on the couch, then the dog isn't big enough. I love big dogs, and Arcanine, that's a big dog. Mewtwo, threat for the Pokemon movie, the first one, yeah. And so, lots of sweet stuff with Mewtwo. I don't like human-like Pokemon. I really, obviously, look at those fingers. It's not that human-like. Look at that tail. It's not that human-like, but it's meant to look humanoid. That's intentional. Because obviously it was a genetic experiment and stuff. So Mewtwo is a thing that gets a pass. Even if it looked more human-like, it would still get a pass. It's extremely powerful. It's one of the coolest psychic Pokemon. If you've done some process of elimination, you've been following along, you'll know. Not the coolest in this one. But it's super sweet. I love the big tail. I love the design. It's an amazing antagonist in the film. It is the highest level Pokemon you catch, at least at the time that you catch it, in the video game for Gen 1. It's like the ultimate post-game thing to collect. It is Pokemon number 151. I think that's right. Or is it? It's up there. It's 150 or 151. I forget technically when they released that. Oh yeah, I think it's 150 and then Mew is 151 because they released Mew as a thing at GameStop. But whatever. Someone's gonna get in here and nerd check me. But oh well. It's only my day job is selling Pokemon cards. Whatever. So yeah, Mewtwo, phenomenal, powerful, scary, interesting, thoughtful, philosophical, capable of strong reasoning, actual communication, with telepathy. There's so many things to talk about with Mewtwo. If you've stuck around this long in this video, you know about Mewtwo. You know how cool Mewtwo is. I don't need to keep hammering the point. Moving on. Squirtle! Squirtle, I like so much more than Wartortle. It's cute. It's just a little guy with a little tail. It's a squirrel turtle with its water. And oh man, I love it. I love his little shell. I love his little face. I love his little body, his eyes, his big mouth. But most importantly, I love the Squirtle gang in the TV show with their sunglasses. Ash's Squirtle is hilarious. That really bumps Squirtle up a whole lot. It's really just throw some sunglasses on this guy and it's so much better. But Blastoise has cannons, and yeah, Blastoise is above Squirtle purely on the cannons. That's it. The idea that Hydro Pump is like, you send out your Pokemon, whatever it is. You send out a Nidoking, and you're like, yeah, I'm feeling real good. And then Blastoise goes into tank mode and is like, do you feel good now? And then just blasts you with artillery fire. Well, like, what do you do about that? You don't do anything to that. So yeah, Blastoise, super cool. Pikachu, here we go. So number 10, that's right. The face of the franchise, Pikachu, is barely cracking the top 10 of my favorite Pokemon for Gen 1. Barely there. And so the crazy thing with Pikachu, obviously Ash's Pikachu is very cool. But I don't, like, in the video games, it's fine. It's fine. It's not that great. It's fine. Originally in developing for the show, Pikachu wasn't even going to be Ash's partner Pokemon. That was a decision they went with after they did some like test screenings or something, or maybe like storyboarding presentations. I forget where in the development process it was. Originally it was going to be like Caterpie. It was a bug Pokemon, because bugs are just way more popular with kids like in Japan than here in America. And so they were like, oh, this will be popular with children. And then like American audiences were like, that's a terrible idea. And they're like, all right, maybe that's a terrible idea, we'll change it. A little electric mouse, yeah, it's much better. And so there's Pikachu's gotten obviously all the love in the world. That's why I picked this art for this slide. It's Birthday Pikachu from the trading card game promo stuff. I love the little cake. I love on this card that there's like the blank spot to write so-and-so's name. And like, so, you know, it could be whoever's birthday, Exothermic's birthday. And Pikachu is so great. There's like Pikachu with balloons that's flying type. There's surfing Pikachu. They've done a lot with Pikachu. It's, of course, it is the face of the franchise. Pikachu's adorable, and it gets all the love in the world. And I'm just saying, maybe we should spread that love a little bit. But you know, it's good. Pikachu is good. That being said, Raichu's better. Number 9's Raichu. Raichu's way better. It's one. They've originally Pikachu was like a fat little mouse, and then Pikachu went on a diet. But Raichu stayed fat. And I love that it stayed fat. I love its tail way more. It's not just like a little jagged thing. It's now it's like it can like wag around and do stuff and like whip things. The ears are cool. The arms are like, I love the markings on the arms. I love the coloring of Raichu way more. We're just gonna pop back for a second. So that yellow is really bright, right? Like, it's almost, sometimes I feel like it's a little too bright. It's very bright. Whereas this, like, orange is my favorite color. And so this like more orangish color is like warm and relaxing and like it speaks to my soul. Raichu is, if it wasn't for Ash in being the face of the franchise, Raichu would be, Pikachu would not be number 10. Definitely not. But Raichu would still be number 9. So that's how good Raichu is. And I want to massage his little cheeks where it keeps the electricity, and like maybe it just wakes me up a little. Maybe it's, you know, just, oh, this is nice. Like almost like I'm giving him a massage. I get a little therapy. I love Raichu, man. Raichu is great. Dragonite is also great. So Dratini, Dragonair, they're just little noodles. Dragonite has limbs. I don't know. I will never know how we went from those to this. This is a Western dragon, right? The first time I was playing this game against the Elite Four, and I got to Lance in the Elite Four, and he sent out Dragonite, and I was kind of like crushing the Elite Four with my Pidgeot, right? And then Dragonite just like obliterated me, and I was like, whoa, what is that? And so ever since then, I've always loved Dragonite. It's very powerful, extremely powerful, but also it manages to stay adorable with like the round head and the just, there's so many features about Dragonite. Like it's a little fat, big round smooth head. The colors are good. You know, I talked about orange with Raichu, right? Dragonite's terrific. Number 7 is Alakazam. So this is the best psychic Pokemon in Gen 1. You know, Kadabra has 1 spoon. Alakazam has 2 spoons and is way cooler. Apparently 2 spoons is all you need for me to be like, that's a Pokemon. And yeah, I love that it's you know, it's another one of those ones where you have to trade it to evolve it. It's got the highest, actually I don't know if it's higher than Mewtwo, but of non-legendaries for sure, it has the highest special attack in the game as far as the base. It does tons of damage. I love doing, I generally prefer more like spellcaster type Pokemon over like punchy type Pokemon for the most part. And so Alakazam is the most that. I mean, you get, it does all of the support abilities you want. It has Reflect, it has Light Screen, but it also, you know, can use Psychic and just do tons of crazy damage. And it does so much, and it's like a chore to get because you have to catch Abra, which good luck, because teleport, they'll just teleport away. And it becomes this big reward that more than any other evolution in the game feels like just crazy worth it and awesome. But Snorlax doesn't evolve and is awesome from the get-go. Snorlax, you know, story Pokemon for Gen 1. It's a constant, it sticks around in the shows, sticks around in the games. Obviously, Snorlax, outrageously popular. I relate so much with Snorlax, especially this year. Do you know how many naps I want to take? Putting out a video every day. Holy crap, I need sleep. But Snorlax is amazing. I also am hungry all the time. There was a while in my life where I was actually like selling insurance, and I had this like supervisor that was like trying to help me with stuff and help me find clients and do things with that. And every time he would call me to like check on stuff or see if I had questions or be like, hey, there's this thing, don't forget about this. Every time, and like, I don't know if it actually was I just did this too much or if it was just funny timing, but almost every time he called me, I was eating. And so like at some point, he's like, are you ever not eating? And really, I snack a lot. I love food, man. What can I tell you? I love food. That's how I deal with stress. I eat. Food is amazing. Food is the greatest thing in the world. I will try, I'm not that picky of an eater. There's a few things I don't like. I don't like cherries, but I will basically eat anything you give me at least twice. Because maybe the first time it was just like prepped bad. So I will try any food at least twice for the most part. I won't do the maggot cheese. You know, I do have my limits. But like, I had goat brain, and that is one of the greatest meals I've ever had in my life. So Snorlax just chowing down, taking naps in the middle of the road. Man, I wish I could take a nap in the middle of the road. I love Snorlax. Charizard, though, obviously, you know, people are like, hey, Charizard is the coolest. And then a lot of that's just the, you know, I mean, it's a cover Pokemon, Blastoise cover Pokemon, depending on you know, regions, Venusaur cover Pokemon. But Charizard cover Pokemon and crazy expensive trading card. People, I think, partially love Charizard so much. One, the design is very cool. I mean, it is a proper dragon, despite actually not being a dragon type, even ever. It's never a dragon type. Fire flying, whatever. It's dumb. But yeah, the design is cool. The card is terrific. It has so much great art. The character Ash's Charizard in the anime is very interesting. There's a lot of reasons that people have latched onto Charizard. I really don't think it's any one thing, but obviously now it's become kind of its own thing that people love Charizard so much. That being said, it's only top 5 for me. I do think Ash's Charizard, like it was stubborn for too long. It got to the point where it was frustrating for me as a kid watching that show with like the Charizard. Like, yeah, I mean, you'll notice I haven't talked about Charmander. So I think that Ash did so much. He saved that Charmander's life. He did all of this stuff, and then over time the Charizard just was like, well, whatever. And I get that they're trying to like showcase the idea that without the badges, Pokemon start to ignore you. That's a mechanic in the games. I just don't think that's a good mechanic for the show, you know? They didn't have to make everything one-to-one, and obviously they didn't. There's tons of stuff they didn't, so I don't know why they did that. But yeah, Charizard, really cool. Maybe not as cool as some people think. Number 4 is Gengar. Great ghost Pokemon. Love, you know, it's my favorite type. Dream Eater, the idea of putting them to sleep and then feasting on their dreams. Gengar is the stuff of nightmares, but it's actually like, he's just a big ol' softy. Like, Gengar is actually very large. If you haven't watched the shows, Gengar is very large. And, but he's also like he cares. By far the craziest thing is, I forget which version of the show it was, but there was a trainer that like abandoned his Gengar, and he was like, wait here until I come back, don't move. And that was him being like, he knew the Gengar was gonna listen to him, and but he never came back. He was abandoning it. That was how he abandoned it. And the Gengar stayed there like for months and didn't move, and just haunted that spot. And then Ash pieces it together, and then it becomes Ash's Gengar and winds up actually being a huge part of his team, and like he thrives and is like great. And man, I love Gengar. So yeah, Gengar's terrific. One of the best Pokemon ever made. Obviously it's number 4 in Gen 1, and I would say that Gen 1 is probably overall the best generation. So it's I cannot say enough good things about Gengar. I love Gengar. Number 3, Eevee. So, you know, it's funny that like most of the evolutions here, I was like, yeah, they're good. They're good. But then Eevee is number 3. So one, I won't keep an Eevee as an Eevee. I will evolve them. Although Eevee is way cuter than any of them. So like from a design perspective, I actually like Eevee more than most of the evolutions. But the flexibility is really what makes Eevee great. And really it's that Eevee showcases what this world is about. You know, Pokemon evolve, and nothing evolves more than Eevee. And so in some ways it's like it is the Pokemon. And I think it's a better face for the franchise than Pikachu is. They've started to lean into that a bit more. They're really, the two of them are the face of the franchise. Obviously, that's why there was Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. That was a branding thing that they started to shift towards. And I think that Eevee is better than Pikachu. And we haven't gotten a new evolution since Sylveon. It's been a few generations, and I really hope we get more. There should be an Eevee for every type eventually, and I'm really optimistic for Generation 10, whatever that winds up being, to give us another Eevee evolution. Number 2 is Bulbasaur. He's one Bulby boy. It is a frog grass dude with a big bulb on his back. Thanks to the efforts of a meme page on like Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, Bulbasaur has had a meteoric rise. For me as a kid, I was like, oh, it's fine, Bulbasaur's fine. And like really as a little kid, I just kind of didn't care. Bulbasaur wasn't like the thing I cared about. And then I had a magazine that had a bunch of different manga in it. I mean, I had Shonen Jump too, but Pokemon wouldn't have been in Shonen Jump, so I don't remember what this was. It might have just been a Pokemon book, but like an anthology type thing. And so there was a thing in there. I read this when I was probably 10. So Pokemon had been out in the US for 5-6 years. And there was a story about like something was going wrong at Professor Oak's lab, and Bulbasaur had to save the day. And in Red, because it doesn't follow Ash in this story, it is Red. Red had to figure it out, and they just used science like photosynthesis, right? And this Bulbasaur learned Solar Beam as Bulbasaur, and it was so cool. And like the Bulbasaur was really the hero of the story, and it was such a different focus and tone than the show had been that I was used to, that it kind of made me go like, okay, Bulbasaur is really cool. And then there's the Bulbasaur memes stuff that just like, man, what an all-star Bulbasaur is, right? He's just a little guy with a big, dumb, wide face and like a big bulb that he carries on his back. It has to be so big because it keeps all our hearts in there. Man, we all love Bulbasaur. But there's one I love more. As you'll discover later in the year, my favorite Pokemon is not from Gen 1, like overall. My favorite Pokemon is not from Gen 1. It's not from any of the other videos I've covered. It's a video I haven't done yet. You know what? I'm not gonna tell you the Pokemon, but my favorite Pokemon ever made was introduced in Scarlet and Violet. But until then, Charmander had been my favorite Pokemon this whole time. Charmander was my favorite Pokemon for over 20 years. And I love Charmander. And it's God, Charmander is my first Pokemon. We got Pokemon Red for me, Pokemon Blue for my brother. Technically, my older brother had another one. I remember me and my twin, Red and Blue, and that was partially because like we had a lot of similar outfits, but in order to help people, I almost always wore red. He almost always wore blue. This was a thing before these games came out. So then when it's like, all right, you get to pick a color, it's like, oh, this is perfect. And so I was red. And then it's like, well, who's the guy on the front? Oh, it's gonna be this one. All right, I'll pick that guy. So Charmander was my very first Pokemon, and ever since then had been my favorite Pokemon forever until this new one. And there's so many great things, you know. I keep thinking to myself, you know, have I moved on from Charmander? Have I, you know, like, is there something actually better? Am I just saying Charmander's my favorite Pokemon because, like, I'm used to saying it? And then I reevaluate and I go, and obviously, again, except for now this other one, and I would go, no, it really is still Charmander. Charmander is the best Pokemon. There's a lot of things. So one, just the visual design of Charmander, he's adorable. But you also still see the indicators for what he's going to become with Charizard, right? I mean, it's fire reptile, a little dragonish, but not really yet. He's still, obviously he's on the ground. Charmeleon later, he'll get to the claws, and then man, it's so great. He's got this big happy smile. He's always so happy. Every time you see a Charmander in art, in anything, it's happy. Except for the one time it's not. And this is the other reason I still love Charmander so much. The in the show, Ash gets his Charmander after Gary abandons Charmander in the rain. And there's this whole thing about if the Charmander's tail goes out, the flame on the tail goes out, it dies. And so they're trying to rescue this Charmander who's been trapped in the rain because of Gary being a jerk, and they rush it to the Pokemon Center and they're treating it, and like there's all of this stuff, and then Charmander like gets revenge on Gary a little bit, but like really it's this abandoned, broken creature that feels like it doesn't have a home. Nobody loves him. And then Ash takes him in and saves his life, and he finds a home. He makes friends with Ash's other Pokemon, with Ash's companions and other people traveling, Misty, Brock, other people, guests, whatever, that during like other episodes, you know, there'll be like a person with them on their thing as they save the town or whatever. And Charmander is just universally loved by everyone, and all of the things that people say about like Charizard being iconic, I think still apply, but maybe even more so. I think that Charmander is like cute, and I think Pokemon should be cute. I think that's the biggest thing differentiating Pokemon from, say, Digimon, is Digimon are like, whoa, that's so cool and crazy, and oh, it's a big angel person, and like there's all of that. But then Pokemon is like, it's just a cute little guy, and like Charmander is everything I want a Pokemon to be. Literally everything I want a Pokemon to be is kind of, and maybe it's because I use Charmander to define in my brain and in my heart what a Pokemon should be. Maybe it's, you know, I'm putting the cart before the horse, whatever. But God, Charmander is the best, except for the other one that I'll talk about when I get there. And that video will be soon, actually, so you don't have to wait that long. But yeah, so that's the guy. I did it. 151. I forgot to talk about Bulbasaur or Ivysaur and Venusaur. Basically, the short version is that I like the bulb, I like the frog look, and they kind of gradually lose both over that. And also, I like the big dumb wide head. Venusaur's head is very wide, but it's like more dinosaur, less cute little guy. And as it's just established, I like cute little guy. I like a big dumb wide mouth and a toothy grin, and I like him smiling and big glowing eyes, you know. God, they really figured it out on these two. All right, well, that's that. Thank you so much for watching. If you stuck through to the end, congratulations. If you skipped along to the end, well, here you are. This was the good stuff. There's lots that you missed, bits that I think were pretty good, but you know, you do you. So thank you. If you do want to see my thoughts overall on Pokemon Red and Blue as games and not just things introducing characters, make sure to watch the other video that's linked in the description. If you want to check out the rest of my stuff, again, I've been doing a countdown of my 366 favorite video games of all time every single day of 2024. We're getting pretty close to the end. The end is in sight. I have a spreadsheet that has a progress of each video, of like recording gameplay, of writing a script, of editing stuff, doing things, and it's now at the point where if I have the most recent video I finished at the very top of the screen, I can see the last video at the bottom of the screen. So literally, the end is in sight, and it's been such a wild journey. And yeah, now I'm rambling because I didn't do enough of that in this. But thank you so much. You have a great day. Bye.